What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with episode 296 of Just Jets, closing in on episode 300. That's pretty cool. Vibes are at all-time bad right now, though, unfortunately. The Jets just lost their 7th straight game to start their 2025 season. They are 0-7. Fans are upset. We're going to vent the frustrations, but I wanted to talk about, in the intro segment here, a problem that I think the Jets are going to run into at some point this year. So right now, they are 0-7. And the vibes, like I said, are at an all-time low for this New York Jets team, right? Like, the defense finally started to play better. The last 2 weeks, they've given up 13 points or less. And they're 0-2 over that span because they've scored a combined 15 points, 17 points, sorry, in their last 2 games, which is just flat out embarrassing. They had a 13-11 loss and then a 13-6 loss at the hands of the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. There's one more game left before the bye. We'll see what happens against Cincinnati. I'll preview that game tomorrow on Thursday. But there's a very real chance the Jets are 0-8 at the bye. And with each passing week, the tank conversation continues to grow, or just the uneasiness from Jet fans continues to grow. And I personally think that it's pretty clear that Aaron Glenn is going to be back next year. And I think it's important for Aaron Glenn to win games and get some good faith going, and that starts immediately. What I don't want to see is the Jets be 0-15 and then win their last 2 games and be like, okay, everything's fine. They went 2-15, but they won their last 2 games of the year, so it's fine. No, I would like to see some legitimate change happen immediately, and at the weeks after the bye, and start to look again like just a functioning NFL team. There's a change at quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting this week, according to Rich Cimini. Aaron Glenn's going to make that decision at some point this week, and they're going to turn the page to Tyrod. I've said I think Tyrod Taylor gives them the best chance to win games with how Justin Fields is playing right now, and I do think that for Glenn's sake, right, like, take out Jets fandom, take out what's better for the Jets or whatever. What's best for Aaron Glenn is for this team to win games, because while Woody went to the defense of Aaron Glenn this past week, if they truly go 0-17, that might be a very different story. So for Glenn's sake, they're going to try to win some games down the stretch. But we're starting to see fans really turn. And I've talked to a lot of fans who, like, I want the Jets to go 0-17. Like, they want them to be this bad and to bottom out. But the problem that I see the Jets running into, because while I'm saying I think for Glenn's sake, it's better for him to win 4 games this year, I don't know where those wins are coming from on the schedule. And we got to that point in 2020, 5 years ago, when the Jets last felt like they were just, there was no end in sight. It felt absolutely hopeless. And, not much has changed in those 5 years, unfortunately. I mean, players have come and gone, but the team, hasn't won more than 7 games over that span. The Jets started that year 0-13, and the quarterback play was really bad, and nobody liked the head coach, Adam Gase. Now, I think Aaron Glenn, like, this is his first year as a head coach. He didn't have the season before to build off of, and I think significantly more Jets fans were happy and excited about Aaron Glenn being here than Adam Gase. So, like, the turn from the 2020 season to go into tank mode was significantly easier, and you had pretty much everyone on that wavelength. I'm not there with this team right now. Like, I'm not going to go and root against them against Cincinnati. I'm fairly numb to them right now. I think that's a pretty obvious statement, but again, the last time that the Jets were this bad for this long, they were 0-13 in 2020, and they were like 0-16 was on the table. They were in the home stretch. They had 3 more games left to go to lose out for Trevor Lawrence. And what happens? The Jets win a game that they really had no business winning. They were 17-point underdogs against the Los Angeles Rams on the road. They hadn't won on the West Coast since 2016, which was 4 years prior. Adam Gase's road record was flat out abysmal over the 2 years that he was there. Like, all the signs were pointing to the Rams winning big, and the Rams were a good team that year. They were 10-6. They went 10-6 that season. Now, granted, they would make the change at quarterback and bring in Matthew Stafford after that, and that elevated them to where they are now. But the funny part of all of this is, yes, the Jets went 2-14. They were horrible. They started 0-13. But the two teams they beat were the 10-6 Rams and 11-5 Browns. It's not like their two wins came against other teams with losing records. Like, they lost to Denver at home, who won 5 games that year. They lost to San Francisco at home, who wasn't very good that year because of injuries. You know, they lost to a lot of those kinds of teams that didn't finish with winning records or good seasons. Is that what's going to happen again this year? Right? Like, that would essentially be like if the Jets get their first win of the season against the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson. And I know the Ravens record stinks right now. They haven't been very good, very underwhelming. But with Lamar coming back and the Ravens at home, I would imagine the Jets are going to be very big underdogs at that point. It'd be like their first win of the season coming then. Or like on a short week on the road against the New England Patriots, who are rolling at that point, right? Like, what's New England now? 4-2, 5-2. It would be like if they're when they play the Jets, I think they would maybe have 3 more games left. So it'd be like if they beat the Pats, who are, let's say, they just keep rattling off wins because they have an easy schedule. They're sitting at 8-2. That would be how head scratching it would be. No, if you're looking at this season and like legitimately trying to find spots where the Jets could win, I think there's 2 most obvious choices. Not saying that I'm going to predict the Jets to win those games, but the 2 weakest teams on the schedule right now, I would say, are the Dolphins and the Saints. I can't put Cleveland on that list. Cleveland's their offense stinks, but their defense is amazing. How are the Jets offensively going to do anything against that team in a couple of weeks? That's my question. But the Dolphins, playing them at home, and the Saints, they've been punchy, and Spencer Rattler's played better for most of this year than I anticipated him playing. But if the Jets are to follow that same trajectory and win 2 games that they did in 2020, if you're asking me, right, like if you say, you know, end of the year, right, someone from the future comes back and tells me the Jets are going to finish 2-15, I would say, okay, their 2 wins would come against the Dolphins and the Saints. But is that actually going to happen? Probably not. No, they'll probably beat a Baltimore, or they'll probably beat a New England or Buffalo resting their starters at the end of the year. Like, something stupid's going to happen. And that's my fear. And again, I'm not even at the point right now where I'm saying I want the Jets to go 0-17. I want it to completely bottom out. I don't. And the main reason for that is because I think Aaron Glenn is coming back next year, and I want to feel good about this coaching staff. So with the 10 games the Jets have remaining, I want them to play significantly better than what they've played so far. And yeah, they have to figure out quarterback, but you don't have to always have the number 1 pick to find your quarterback. It's easier, but there's been misses number 1 overall. Who's to say if the Jets finish 0-17, they draft the right guy anyway? Maybe it takes a team, maybe it takes the 3rd quarterback off the board or the 2nd quarterback off the board. And, Jaden Daniels looked like the best quarterback in that class. Some of the other guys have played better, and Jaden's and his team struggled a little bit this year. The couple years before that, even, you had Bryce Young went 1st overall, and CJ Stroud was the 2nd quarterback taken. CJ Stroud has looked better than Bryce Young, even though CJ struggled the last year or so. But still, point remains the same. 2018, Baker Mayfield went 1st overall, and Baker's carved out a nice career for himself, but he's not Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, who were the, 3rd and 5th quarterbacks taken? Or 6th, maybe? Right? It was Mac Jones? No, Mac Jones wasn't that draft. So I guess it was the 3rd and 5th quarterback taken. Point being, if you're on the 0-17 train, which I know I've talked to many people that are, while I agree with you by looking at how this team has played and looking at the schedule, I don't know where that first win's going to come. But you got to know in the back of your head, they're going to win a game, right? And it's not going to be one of those, oh, they beat the Dolphins. No, it's going to be one that we have no faith in them winning, that they actually win the game. Like Denver in London. They should have won that game. And the matchup on paper was horrible for the Jets. It's a good defense. You know, they run the ball well. Bo Nix does enough offensively. Like, that was a really bad matchup for them. And they still probably should have won the game. And if they went to Tyrod Taylor, they very well could have won that football game 2 weeks ago. So that was just something that I wanted to get into, and something that I know is going to definitely bother some folks when that win comes against a team that we don't expect it. But anyway, the Just Jets podcast is brought to you by Sleeper. Think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. If your picks win, use promo code O'Leary. You can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Or their new offer, there's a free $20 no deposit required promo they're running. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's get into your voicemails. We're going to go out to Liam from Staten Island. And you guessed it, he calls in from outside the stadium.
Hey, Matt. This is Liam from Staten Island, calling from outside the stadium. Another just pathetic loss. I don't know if you remember when I called in week 4 when I said, this team isn't bad. They're just stupid. I take that back. This team is bad and stupid. We don't have quality players on this offense, at least not enough to win games against even mediocre opponents. Quarterback play is just abysmal, and I don't think there's anything that we can do this season to fix that, except all the new rumors I'm hearing about reaching out to Cleveland and seeing about the availability of Shedeur Sanders. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of Shedeur. I didn't want to draft him, when we had the chance or chances, but now I'm looking at it like, what's the downside? You'll give up a 5th, maybe at worst a 4th, but odds are good you'd mess that up anyway if you drafted a player. So you trade it, you get a guy that had some serious upside and potential. You get rid of Fields and, you get rid of all the drama regarding Fields and who's going to start, who's going to play. You just cried out for Sanders. You give the kid a chance. And even if he's not that great, you've got another rookie to compete with whatever rookie you draft this year. And you get a little competition going, and, you see if that changes something for the rest of the season. I'm kind of at a loss of what you even do. Do you just keep running this back? Do you keep just beating the dead horse? I'm out of ideas at this point of what this team can do to get a win besides reaching out and seeing about Shedeur's availability. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about this pathetic performance. And as always, go Jets.
Yeah, the performance was downright pathetic against the Carolina Panthers. The point that you bring up with Shedeur, I don't think the Jets are in a spot where they can afford to trade any assets coming up in the 2026 draft, even for a flyer at quarterback. I just think it's a sell mode. Sell whoever you can that you decide you don't want to build around. Sell off those pieces. That's how I would operate. And I really like Breece Hall. I could see him being traded in the next week. Quincy Williams, same thing. If he gets healthy, I could see him getting traded. Michael Carter, if he's somewhat healthy, might get traded with the Jarvis Brownlee addition, and so on and so forth from there. But I think what they're going to do is I think Tyrod will start. He'll probably get hurt. And I would not be surprised if at some point this year we're getting Brady Cook starts, which is just an absurd place to be as a team. Let's go to Max in New Jersey next.
This is Max calling in from New Jersey. And let's talk about the game today. There was an embarrassing loss. we're not the same old Jets. He's right. Absolute joke. This franchise continues to seek to new lows. Just when you think this team can't be any worse, you'll be like, oh, just wait. It was embarrassing today. It was embarrassing, man. 13-6, the final score. The only reason the Jets were even in this game at the end is because Carolina is a bad team. They're not a good team at all. And, people could disagree. Oh, they beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys' defense is the worst defense in the National Football League. Only reason we're in is because the Panthers are not a good team. And then let's see on Mark Schlereth and Chris Mars. Look, this Jets defense is good. No, because the Panthers are fans. And Bryce Young is a mediocre quarterback. Dalton is a mediocre quarterback. Let's talk about Fields. He was horrible today, honestly.
Yeah,
and
he was.
Aaron Glenn was right bench him. He's not aggressive downfield. He takes hits. He holds on to the ball too long. I mean, I think Aaron Glenn's a one-and-done coach. I just think he looks good. Normally, Matt, I'm like, give a coach 2-3 years, that's normal, except Dave. But, bro, Glenn is just incompetent, honestly. Like, he is the worst Jets coach I've seen. He makes Adam Gase look like Sean McVay. Like, maybe I'm overreacting. People like, oh, it's not as talented. But seriously, I think, because, like, I don't think we're going to win a game. Like, I'm just saying, we've lost the Panthers. And the Panthers are not even that good of a team. 13-6. And Glenn's going to, Detroit, bro. I don't want to hear that excuse. The Lions, he wasn't even the head coach. Campbell is the head coach. And Dan Campbell didn't have as much talent in 2021 than the Chef team. Like, our defense is good. We have Guy Wilson. We have Brees Hall. Like, our team is talented. Like, I don't think we should be this bad. I mean, if Glenn's a one-and-done coach, we got to get John Harbaugh. I would sign up for John Harbaugh in 2 seconds. And, people might disagree. Oh, the Ravens are going to fire Harbaugh. No, the Ravens aren't even that good right now. They're like 1-5. I understand Lamar Jackson and their ton of injuries, But if Aaron Glenn's a one-and-done coach, we got to get John Harbaugh. What's your thoughts on this? And go, Jeff.
I think if Aaron Glenn goes one and done, John Harbaugh and Kevin Stefanski would be the two names that would be towards the top of my list. But they both have to get fired also. Based on what the owner Woody Johnson said today, I think there's a strong chance he is back. But again, 0-17 is very different than a 3-win season. If the Jets are embarrassed and the first team ever to go 0-17, would it surprise anyone for Woody Johnson to go back on his word and make a change? No, I don't think so. And if that's the case, then yeah, do something different. Bring in an experienced head coach who has proven success. Kevin Stefanski, 2-time coach of the year. Offensive coach. John Harbaugh has been doing it forever. The Ravens are always good. Same feeling with Mike Tomlin. They're always good. I know fans like to get on, Tomlin and Harbaugh because their team can't get over the top. They're quality teams every year. I just don't want to see them. If they do make a change, don't just go, I'm going to fire Aaron Glenn to hire another first-time head coach. Feels like a lateral step and a massive risk. But, assuming they're taking a quarterback, you got to put that guy in a good position to succeed. Like, it's just frustrating. Peter from Hudson Valley's next.
Hey, man. It's Peter calling from up in the breezy Sunday evening Hudson Valley. After the Jets have now fallen to 0-7 with their loss to the Panthers earlier today. I actually did cut my work day short and come home to watch that rap.
Oh, God.
This is so frustrating. Well, after the game, I want to tell you a short story. I took a walk to kind of clear my head. And
I did the same,
I took a walk,
by the way.
I always listen to Pandora. First song that came on, Guns N' Roses. And one of the lines on the song was, "Where do we go now?" And, of course, I thought of the Jets.
Fair.
Where do we go from here? I'm just going to say there were some positives in this game. AG won 2 challenges. That was nice. Some good defensive play again. That was certainly nice to see, especially seeing A.Z. Thomas come in for Sauce. Sucks that he's in concussion protocol. Apparently so is Kene Nwangwu. That guy's getting hurt every game. It's like
always. Every
time he goes out there, he gets hurt. So next week it sounds like we'll be down both Sauce and Garrett against the Bengals. But penalties and turnovers And who would have thought that Tyrod coming into the game in the second half, which I called on my Facebook page as something I wanted, he'd wind up turning the ball over twice. So in a game and a half this year, he's had 3 picks, and he's usually protective of the ball.
Strange.
So I don't care who starts on Sunday. All I want is a win against the Bengals, because thank God it's going to be a CBS game and we don't have to listen to the often biased against the Jets Mark Schlereth, as we had to today, because it was a Fox game. Yeah. But I will say this much. If the Jets don't beat the Bengals on Sunday, I'm not going to be watching anything after the bye the rest of the season. I'll take my chances on Sundays going out and making more money. If that's what I need to do. My question, considering Sauce's injury, is, and we saw a lot of A.Z. Thomas, do you think they'll stick with that and Brownlee on the inside, or since Michael Carter could have probably played even though they ruled him out,
good point.
maybe Carter comes in and Brownlee goes to the outside? I think it'll probably be the former, and we'll see a lot more of A.Z. Thomas.
Me
so
too.
We'll see how he plays. Anyway, let's see what happens on Sunday. Let's go Jets. Yay.
Thank you for the call, Peter. Much appreciated, as always. I liked what you brought up there, in the beginning of the call too. Like, you just want to see something change for this team. And I think, to answer your question, I do think it would be A.Z. Thomas. If Sauce, does have a concussion, is not good to go for this week, then I want to see A.Z., who I think is a future, starting outside corner in this league. And Brownlee, I think, is your future at slot. I don't think Michael Carter is your future. So I don't think it's wise to do that. And you kind of just laid it out perfectly on why you would do it the other way too. So we're in lockstep. We're in agreement. Hopefully you still call in, Peter, even if the Jets are losing and you're not watching the games. I would still appreciate you tuning in and checking in. You're one of the more loyal supporters, and I appreciate you. Scott from Montana is up next.
Hey, Matt. Scott calling in from Montana. Today was pretty much just a repeat of what we saw last week. Defense was pretty good again, and the offense was absolutely dreadful. The first drive of the game, I wanted to see us kick the field goal. I think if we'd had tried to do something on 3rd and 5, run the ball and make it a shorter 4th down, fine, go for it. But the chances of Fields passing on 4th and 5 and picking up the first down, just kick the field goal, get some points on the board, get us an early lead. Shoot, run Nick Folks out there. He's one of your better players anyway. Him and the punter, McNamara, they're 2 of the better players we have. Offensively, Fields was dreadful. He just looks lost out there. And then Taylor, he wasn't a lot better. So we need 2 quarterbacks next year, not just one, but we got to find 2 quarterbacks. I am concerned about our offensive line, Matt. I'd like to hear your comment about them. Are they not? I don't know. I heard today we lead the league in sacks given up. I know part of that's the quarterback's fault, but our offensive line just doesn't seem to be playing as well as I think we had expected them to. And maybe Vera Tucker being out is a big part of that. Defensively, again, pretty solid. And it looks like our secondary is starting to gel a little bit. And, Stevens is playing pretty well. Of course, Sauce has been Sauce. I wondered about your thoughts on, our defense has been better the last 2 weeks. Is it possibly, Jermaine Johnson being back, but also having the rookie in for Tony Adams and
Malachi
also,
Moore?
The guy we just picked up too from Tennessee for
Jarvis Brownlee
playing for Carter. And also, I thought Sherwood was pretty solid again today. It seems like he's playing a little bit better. He just gets exposed anytime he has to go out in pass coverage. But I heard today I think he's 3rd in the league in tackles. So, and then final thing, Matt, our defensive ends just not getting any pressure.
Nothing.
So although our defense is playing better, kind of concerned about our defensive ends not getting any pressure on the quarterback. All right. Anxious to hear your thoughts. Go Jets.
Yeah, a lot of good thoughts here. I think the big question that you asked that stood out to me was the offensive line. I thought they could be close to a top 10 unit. Losing AVT really hurts. And I think they've definitely taken a slight step back from where they were in week 1 and early in the season, but they are still mostly fine. They're not a bottom 5 or I would say even bottom 10 unit in the league. They're probably like the 20th best offensive line, maybe from middle of the pack to slightly below average. And that, like, I think a lot of it is a product of the quarterback play that they're getting to. The pressures and sacks, I know, get credited to these offensive linemen. Like, oh, Olu Fashion, who gave up 5 pressures and a sack. Well, what was the context of that sack? Was he beat right away? If he was beat right away, then yeah, like, it's his fault. Was it one of those 4.2 seconds after the snap sacks? Because that's also very different. So numbers are really helpful, but the eye test, I think, matters for that one. And I think the offensive line's been okay. I don't think they've been, they definitely haven't reached their peak and their, the top echelon of what they can and probably should be. But it's not like the line that we were seeing in 2023 or 22 or 21 or when Darnold was here. They are significantly better than where that line was. Let's go out to, I don't have a name on this one, but this caller wants to talk about some apathy.
Matt O'Leary, good morning. Well, it's not a good morning. The Jets just got creamed yesterday again. Apathy. This is the scariest emotion, I think, for Woody, is apathetic fans where they don't care. I think the key now is to have empty stadiums. And then just maybe he'll get it through his head that he can't make money without a winning team. Until that happens, I think we're screwed. Can we get a refund from the 33rd team? What happened to this guy, Rick Spielman? Is that what his name? That was supposed to hang around and help Muji? I had a talk with my brothers about trying to pick another team to root for, and kind of got sick to my stomach. Just can't do it. You get stuck on the Jets. I mean, I've been a fan since like 1965, and you just can't root for another team. I was thinking maybe, the Giants home jerseys are pretty cool. That'd be good. Root for the Giants. They got a spark. And then I said, no, my father liked the Giants. I can't do that. I got to stick with my Jets. But I think I'll stick with my Jets on the radio. I'm not going to worry about going to a sports bar to watch the games. I need Peter from the beautiful Hudson Valley just to calm me down. Matt, what are we going to do? I think it's time to, what's the third string quarterback's name? The kid from Missouri?
Brady
I'm going
Cook?
blank on it. Kind of put him in and make sure we get the first pick. It's the only way that this thing's going to turn around. We have, 21 expiring contracts? We should have 21 new Jets. And I think it's fire sale. There's a culture of losing. You got to get all that out and get all new blood in, probably including the coaches, and it's going to hurt because I grew up watching Aaron Glenn. I watched him return a 103-yard field goal against the Colts.
Yeah.
He's not the guy. All right. Sorry to start your Monday morning off this way, Mr. O'Leary. This is a very important week in your life. I think you should turn off all the content creating and just enjoy your wedding and make it a spectacular weekend next weekend. If it is this week, I don't know. It's coming up soon.
It is coming
Focus
up.
on the wedding,
longer.
man, because there ain't nothing here with the Jets. Have a great day. Bye.
Appreciate it. With the week they play the Ravens, November 22nd. So we got about another month before, but it's coming up quick. I don't blame this caller for feeling the way that he feels. I'm being so apathetic, and that's kind of where I'm at. If you saw my video from Monday, it was kind of like I'm just numb to it, and I don't care. I'm not mad. I'm not happy. I just am in a don't care phase. And I think that's such a bad spot for your fan base to be. And, Glenn, like I said on Monday too, Glenn really wanted this job. It was his dream job. And it's just been a disaster so far. I really hope that he turns it around, but I don't know what's going to fix this team. I really don't. Let's go to Steve from Naples next.
Hey, Matt, Steve, Naples, Florida. Not so much a question today, but I just got something to say for the rest of the Jets fans there, man. If you're not riding with us during this rebuild, don't ride with us during the next rebuild. It's a vicious cycle we cannot seem to get out of. Pulling my hair out, man. God bless.
It is a vicious cycle. And you know what is the funny? I thought you were like, don't be here for when we turn it around. But that's not even it. It's like, oh, well, there is no turnaround. It's just you try it with one guy, that rebuild fails. You go to the next guy, that rebuild fails. And then you hire in the next guy who's, guess what? Their rebuild or retool also freaking fails. You can't make it up, Steve. They've been trying to retool or rebuild this thing since 2011. You know, they went for it. In 2010, they had their best chance. They went even more veteran heavy the next year. You know, in comes Derek Mason and Plaxico Burress and on and on and on. They go 8-8. They stink. And then, you know, Rex peters out over the next 3 years. And then you bring in Mike McCagnon and Bowles and they tear it down and then they stink. And then you bring in, you know, whoever else they brought in, Joe Douglas and Adam Gase and Robert Saleh. It just doesn't end. It doesn't end. Jake from Jersey, what do you got for us this week?
So Matt, Jake from Jersey. Just want to get on here and say I'm going after the loss of the Panthers. It's crazy that we're only this far into the season. I'm already losing interest again. It's like 2 years in a row. It's just like, can't wait for it. I don't want to say can't wait for it to be over because I love it so much, but it's just like, I don't see a solution with our current quarterback. And then, you know, I feel like we need to get that number one overall. I don't even want to be talking about that right now, but we don't have anything else to talk about, really. On top of that, though, I just want to say, you know, credit where credit's due. Steve Wilkes, 2 weeks in a row, holding the opposing team 13 points. Nice. But yeah, man, Justin Fields is not it. Glad they put in Tyrod, showed some sort of change, but I cannot believe they let the clock run out again instead of throwing a Hail Mary in the, I think it was the end of the first half, but just ridiculous. But again, I'm not even invested at this point. Like, I'm watching the game. I watched the whole game start to finish, but it's just like, you know, it's going nowhere this season now. It's terrible. I mean, could they turn it around? Sure. Are they going to? Probably not. But who knows, man? Not trying to be super negative or anything. I'm just saying, you know, defense looked good at least, so that's something to hang the hat on there. But yeah, Fernando Mendoza, just gonna keep saying it.
That's my guy.
Go Jets, man. Go Jets.
That would be my choice right now for the New York Jets. There's still, you know, we'll see. I don't dislike Simpson either. Dante Moore has been exciting too. Fernando Mendoza is my choice. That's who I would choose if I had the choice, number one overall. The frustration from these fans, man. I get it. I'm right there with you guys. Caden's up next.
Hey, Matt. Kaden Smith here from upstate New York, calling in Monday after the Jets-Panthers game. I mean, most of the halfway through it, I wasn't even really paying attention. I was listening to Richie from Jets Media, his stream on it. But, I mean, just with how poorly we were doing, I kind of lost focus and just started watching NASCAR instead. But, I mean,
don't blame me,
man. It's freaking ridiculous. 0-6 at this point. But a specific topic I want to come and touch on is now it's like obvious. I mean, Fields is not the answer. I want Tyrod to start in his place, but Tyrod still isn't the answer. So obviously we're looking for a new quarterback, and as of now, we're in line to get the first overall pick if things stay this way. But to be honest, man, and just hear me out on this, I'll get some heat for it. I don't even want to draft a quarterback. What gives us the right to go pick a top quarterback, a great young talent, bring him into a situation where we only have Garrett, and other than that, nothing. Brees seems to be likely traded. Like, what gives us the right to go draft a young, talented player and ruin them? And especially with a coach that either is not going to be here next year or is going to be here and then is going to be fired the year after that. and then the quarterback has to go and relearn a whole new system. What gives us that right to do that? I don't think it's fair at all to go and draft a quarterback and then have all these changes of either a coach or just not set them up with a supporting cast. At this point, if we get the number one pick, as good as players like Mendoza or Moore or Ty Simpson are, I'd rather either do one of two things: draft best player available, probably at this point Ruben Bain, because we can see our edge room needs help.
Yeah.
Jermaine just isn't always healthy enough, even though when he's playing, he's a tone setter and he's huge. And then Will, he's after game one, and the blocked field goal, he's taken a step back, man. I haven't really just noticed the production. I mean, I'm sure he's still getting pressures at times, but we need production in the sack game. So, I mean, getting edge help could be huge, or what you do is if you get the first pick and someone wants Mendoza or whatever, you trade down, you get a haul. We go fill out the roster, get an edge, we get a wide receiver. Maybe we get another full-fledged starting center if we're going to keep Tippmann at guard. Go draft a D tackle, whatever it may be. Build out the roster first, and then if Glenn doesn't work out next year again, you bring in a new coach, preferably someone who's offensive-minded, and then you go and trade up, or if you're in position to, you draft a quarterback next year, whoever it may be. But we can't go and draft another Wilson, another Darnold, and not have them set up for success and ruin them here. We got to do something different, man. So hopefully the ship will turn around soon. Thanks for the call, Matt. Have a great day. Bye.
Kaden, I appreciate the call and I understand your perspective. I'm going to push back a little bit on that. With Zach Wilson and with Sam Darnold, Darnold never had a receiver like Garrett Wilson did. I do think the offensive line is in a good spot. They have two young tackles. I know Olu maybe hasn't played as well as we would have thought, but I am confident in Tippmann, Olu, and Armand Membu as those three building blocks. I would try to retain John Simpson, and I would either draft a center or bring back Josh Myers and also draft a center and feel pretty good about the state of my offensive line. You probably have to add a running back and find a wide receiver too. But looking around the league where other, top quarterback prospects have gone, like teams with number one overall picks stink. Caleb, that offensive line still sucks. They have playmakers, but that line still sucks. CJ Stroud, playmakers, line still sucks. Jaden Daniels, that team didn't have a ton. They had a strong wide receiver one, and that was pretty much it. And he had success in year one. And that was a number 2 overall pick. Cam Ward, not that he's played well, but that he doesn't have a good line or really a ton of weapons either. Like that, whoever is picking number 1 overall and likely will take a quarterback, that their team's not going to be very good. But for the Jets, I think the biggest concern is maybe the coaching staff, but you're halfway home with a good wide receiver one and a good offensive line that run blocks well. If you find a running back, you're in a pretty good spot for a young quarterback. But I'll agree with you on the coaching perspective side of it. But on the roster side of it, on the offensive side of it, you could do a hell of a lot worse than what the 2026 Jets around the quarterback position is likely to look like. And you have Mason Taylor. Eric is up next.
Matt O'Leary, what's going on? Eric from Brooklyn. Appreciate you taking my call. I just wish there could be a victory Monday where I could just be calling in and just being all cheery and giddy. But unfortunately, if you're a Jets fan right now, that's just not the case. My takeaway from Sunday's game, AG did what he should have done last week, was bench Justin Fields. Justin Fields, he's just absolutely awful. There's just really no way around it. I guess the good side of it is that they gave him a $40 million contract worth 2 years. So the Jets isn't really tied to Justin Fields long term. And that was really a prove-it contract, in my opinion. And so the way his performance has been the last 2 weeks, it's just been terrible. It's been terrible football. And it just sucks because I was hating on the signing and then hearing good things in the off season about Justin Fields. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Defense played a little bit better. I will say, sucks that Sauce Gardner is in concussion protocol,
It
and
does suck.
we'll see how he does from week to week. But again, I just felt like this game was winnable. Can't really expect too much from Tyrod Taylor. Brees Hall, I mean, he didn't look phenomenal, but I mean, we'll see when the weeks goes on, and just expecting our best players to just be fed the ball, and it just doesn't seem that way. And outside of Garrett Wilson, I think Brees Hall is our best offensive weapon, and it just seems like we just wasn't really feeding him the ball enough. And 11 carries for 38 yards is just not enough, in my opinion. But hopefully, I can call you on a victory Monday. Yeah, as always, go Jets.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I hope we get a victory Monday too. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it will be this week. But you're right. Like with Justin Fields, that wasn't really my preferred route for the Jets. I understood their thought process of looking at some other quarterbacks around the league who have had these late career resurgences. Unfortunately, with Fields, the issues that he's had throughout his career are coming up continually through the Jets in year 5. The holding onto the ball, the inconsistencies as a passer, and he's not running as much as you would like to see. And that's happened over the last couple of weeks. And if he's not going to run, well, that's really the whole reason you bring him in here for. That should be his strength. And it's kind of gone away over the last few weeks. Week 1, we'll always have week 1, but that unfortunately looks like a mirage. PG.
Hello, Matt O'Leary. PG from Rhode Island here. Thank you for taking the call. So before the season, we spoke about Aaron Glenn and how he had a very good resume, and but we would not know until he was actually in the captain's chair making the decisions. And since he's been in there through 7 weeks, you can only really grade him out at an F minus. I know he didn't even get an F minus, but yeah, he gets an F minus. Tanner Angstrom, another guy with a good resume, and I think he's capable of scheming up some good plays, getting some plays open that the quarterbacks haven't hit. But I think his feel for the game needs a lot of improvement. He hasn't gotten Brees Hall involved, either pass or hasn't thrown any screenplays. It just doesn't make any sense. I think that first drive last week, when it was 3rd and 5 and then 4th and 5, my guess is Glenn never even told him that, hey, we're going to go on 4th down if we don't make it. And I think if he had, then maybe Angstrom would have run a couple of running plays, run the ball on 3rd down, get it to 3rd and 4th and 2, and then maybe another running play. I'll make it a lot easier.
I agree with you on that one. That was weird.
If there was that kind of lack of communication between Aaron Glenn and Angstrom. Overall, this coaching staff has been very disappointing. I thought it was going to be a lot better than last year, and of course, it hasn't been. And I think that's why big reason why we're actually 0-7. So moving forward here, I'm looking past next week in Cincinnati, and I'm looking forward to the bye week.
A week off sounds nice.
Of not watching the Jets.
It sounds really good.
A lot of cable stations, and I think I can find maybe a bowling tournament to watch, or maybe even synchronized swimming. Synchronized swimming takes a lot of detail.
Sure.
Kind of Angstrom's always talking about, get the details right. So yeah, maybe a little synchronized swimming on a Sunday, a little more entertaining than it has been with the Jets. Anyway, your thoughts on that, Matt O'Leary? And once again, as always, go Jets.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to the bye also. Usually do something fun over the bye week, whether it's, going out east somewhere on the island, and I'm probably going to do something. Maybe not on Sunday, maybe the Saturday, but even if it's just a day of literally red zone with no need to do any sort of Jets coverage on a Sunday. That I am very much so looking forward to that. And over the last 10 games of this year, PG, I am looking for signs of life from this coaching staff. Can Tanner Engstrand and Aaron Glenn turn it around? Or is it going to look like more of the same through the first 7 games of the year? Still more than half of the season left. They're in a really bad spot. I don't think it's going to get too much better, but can they come out of the bye and give us any sign of life? That's what I need to see from this coaching staff to have any confidence in them coming back. We close with Rez from PA.
Hey, Matt. It's Rez from Pennsylvania. Long time no speak to, buddy.
Hope you're doing well.
Rough season, of course. But nothing like prepping for the draft before Halloween, huh? Anyways, man, I was just wondering what you thought of we're the Jets, right? So it's kind of one of those conversations where we can't expect to be the number 1 overall, right? Can we? We had actually get the number 1. We'd had the 3, we had the 2. But the 1 is kind of anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. What I was gonna say is, if let's say we land with the third overall pick, and you got a team that wants to trade up. I mean, you're not the 1. You're at the 3rd. Would you trade down? Because the way it looks like with our roster, we got a plethora of holes. I mean, I think I agree with the notion that we have maybe a handful of players, and then the rest has to go on that roster. And this draft might offer a lot of upside. Anyways, man, I'll be watching. Go Jets.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Rez. I think, and you can make a case for trading down and getting more picks, and it depends on what. I will caveat it with saying it depends on what kind of packages you're offering. It's going to be really hard for me to pass on a quarterback with what the quarterback play has looked like this year. If you're picking 1, 2, or 3, and Fernando Mendoza's on the board, I'm taking it. If you're picking 1, 2, or 3, and Ty Simpson or Dante Moore there, I'm taking them. And I think there's probably going to end up being 4 quarterbacks go in this draft. Maybe 5 in the first round, 4 or 5. The Jets will be able to take someone with where they're going to end up. My personal part, I think Mendoza's the best one so far. I think Ty Simpson, I know he hasn't played a lot of ball, and that's a concern for people, and a valid one. He's made some really big time throws, and he's getting better week over week, and Alabama's got a tough schedule. So I want to see how he closes out the year. I think he's a riser. And for Moore, that's another guy who's made some big plays. And I think you can make a strong case for any of those 3 being your top guy. The reason why I like Mendoza the most right now is I think he's gotten better year over year. And where he is right now in his spot, I think he is the best all around fit for the Jets. That would be my selection. Guys, thank you so much for hanging for another episode of Just Jets. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new to the show, and I'll catch you next time.